And here to discuss more about the results is former State Representative Vic Stelly. Vic, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for asking me, Aaron.
Let's first start off with that Senate race. 24 candidates, whittling down to just those two. Louisiana clearly a red state here, but with Trump throwing his support behind Kennedy, do you think Foster Campbell really had a fighting chance?
Not really. I think his biggest claim to fame was the fact that John Bel Edwards, the governor, came out and endorsed him, but that may have just been a loyalty thing for Democrats. But no, I think Kennedy was heads-on favorite. It's the third time he's run for this seat, and John's been in the headlines quite a bit. He's been a very fiscally conservative person in the state, and had a lot of good name recognition. So I was not surprised by that one at all.
All right. Now, Republicans, we know they already have control of the Senate, but had Campbell won the race with the extra Democrat, do you think it really would have made that big of a difference in the Senate?
It may not have been that big a difference right off the bat, because I think it's 52-48 for Republicans with 2 independents at this time. But the word is that several of the Republican senators are under consideration for cabinet positions. So had President-elect Trump selected a couple of Republicans to get cabinet positions, then if they had a Democratic governor back home, they may have appointed a Democrat. Well, in the Senate, a lot of things can happen, and that could have been a difference. That's why you saw a lot of out-of-state money in that race. Mm-hmm. A lot of the ads that you saw locally were not by these two candidates. They were from out-of-state PACs. If you read the fine print at the bottom, you would see that. So I was not surprised that John won, but I was not surprised of the fact that it was such a hotly contested race and so much money was spent on it.
Absolutely. Now, a big part of the election tonight that we're talking about is voter turnout. We had great numbers locally in the presidential election, but here in Calcasieu, around 20% turnout for the election. Do you think voter apathy played a role tonight? I
think it did. I think maybe a little voter fatigue. Mm-hmm. I think they were a little tired of all this stuff, tired of all the negative stuff, even though political realism is, over the years, has been that negative campaign works. It obviously didn't work in the congressional race, which we'll talk about after a while, I would imagine. But I guess a lot of different things entered into it, but 20% is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. All right, I want to transition to the 3rd Congressional District, open for the first time in 12 years with Charles Bustani leaving after running unsuccessfully for the U.S. Senate seat. We had 2 Republicans in this runoff. Clay Higgins, a big Trump supporter. Do you think that contributed to his victory?
I think so. The mood of the people seemed to be in that direction. A non-political figure. Another political realism that you usually think is you got to kind of move your way up the line. You start off as a school board member, police juror, maybe a legislator, then you run for Congress. Well, he ran straight for Congress. Now, he did get a big push with his activities before, because he was a Crime Stopper guy, such as Tony Mancuso used to do for years here in Calcasieu. So I think he got a lot of recognition, and then, of course, the Cajun John Wayne. I mean, that went over very well, but I really did not think it would be that big a difference, but it was.
Do you think that, kind of going off of that, media really played a big factor into Higgins winning?
I guess so. I mean, you wouldn't say that he was a very articulate guy listening to him on TV, but people that have talked to him individually tell me that he's a very sharp guy. He's not just the old Cajun John Wayne. He is a very intelligent guy, and hopefully he'll do us a good job.
Attack ads against Higgins in this one were fierce in the media. What was your take on that?
Well, I mean, apparently people didn't care about 4 wives and $100,000 back child support, if all that is true. Mm-hmm. That's another thing. I found a lot of people are a little leery about what to believe. You hear so many things in campaigns that you found out later were not true, or maybe a little bit of it was true, but he didn't really have 4 wives. He just had 2, or something such as that. I don't know what the deal is, but I think people kind of burn out on that type of stuff.
Sure.
And that probably just kind of went over their head.
Finally, the 4th Congressional District, Republican Mike Johnson winning this one. What do you make of his win?
I don't really know that much about that one. That is not where we are. I've read some things about Johnson. I think he was well known as a sitting state representative from Shreveport, whereas the other fellow was a local attorney but did not have any kind of political background. So that kind of went against what we were talking about down here. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I thought was interesting, the last reapportionment, there was an effort made to put us in the Shreveport district,
Right.
which those of us who represent Calcasieu were not too happy about that, because we felt like we would really be a stepchild in Lake Charles compared to Shreveport. We feel like we're sort of a stepchild with Lafayette, but nothing like we would have been with Shreveport. So we were able to fight that off. But I didn't really know too much about either one of those candidates. I was not surprised either way.
Either way. All right. Thank you so much, Vic Stelly, for
Thank you,
joining
ma'am.